Hey guys, back in another video. This time I'm going to be covering what a debounce is. So what we're going to be using this time, I'm going to be using to show you guys how to use a debounce and what it is. When I made my dot touched event, I made a button that damaged your touch. So I'm going to remake that real quick, and we're going to be using that as a stick with me here because I have no idea what I'm saying. We're going to go with that and add a debounce to it so it doesn't keep damaging you over and over. By that I mean it doesn't run multiple times on touch. My typing's a bit off because I'm using a different keyboard so you guys can hear me better. This isn't the keyboard I usually use. This is a separate keyboard from my PC. If I use my built-in keyboard on my laptop, it gets pretty loud and you guys can't hear me talking. So, yeah. Alright, so in this case, we're going to make it print something so we can tell whenever it's run. So now, whenever it connects to the function damage, it prints that damage. So, watch. Hold up, sorry. Typo. Happens. Alright, so, see how it prints that damage multiple times, right? We want to prevent that from happening. Basically, so we can add a cooldown. In this case, we're going to use a debounce. A debounce is kind of like I already said a few seconds ago, a way to add a weight and make sure it doesn't constantly run. So in this case, what we typically do for a debounce is we set a variable. The most common variable name for a debounce is enabled. So we're going to go with that for now. So enabled is a Boolean value. I went over Boolean values in my previous video, values part 1. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, a Boolean value is a true or false value. So what we're going to do is run an if statement. An if statement is a way to check if something is true, false, whatever you want to set it to. So in this case, we're going to set it so that it checks if enabled is equal to false. When you're writing an if statement in this kind of situation, we want to check if it is equal to false. If we were to put equals false, it wouldn't work because that would set enabled to false. But we want to check if enabled is equal to false. In Lua scripting, to check is equal to means two equal signs. So now we have a check that runs. We have an if statement that runs if enabled equals false. So what we want it to do is run this part when enabled is equal to false. So that's what we have here. So let's look. What would happen? Now we have the same issue still. So what we want to do is we want to make it so that enabled equals true. This works because when we touch it, enabled changes from false to true, so it won't run again. See, now the issue with how we have it set here is if we were to run this, it runs once but doesn't run again. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to make it so that enabled becomes true again after it's done running. So here we go. Now we're running back. Sorry, I should have put that inside the if statement. My mistake. Alright, so we're running into the same issue here. Just realized a typo I kept making. Enabled equals false. My mistake. Sorry. Alright, so we're running into the same issues we were before. So what we want to do is we want to use a wait. So we want to pause. So wait, say, let's just do 1 for the sake of time. So we touch it, it damages, and then it waits. So what we're going to do this time, just so you guys can actually fully see it, we're going to make it damage the character by 25, wait 1, then damage 25 again. This is just for you guys to see that it's actually working and damaging. So basically what it does is, in this case, hold up. Whenever we touch it, if enabled is false, then it changes enabled to true. That means if we were to touch it again before the script finishes and makes enabled false again, it won't run a second time. You can also use that, we can also check by looking at the print without even damaging the player. So let's watch the output bar. You see how we can't keep spamming it like we were before? That's because the debounce prevents so. This is just the basic run over a debounce. I'm going to be making a video on if statements. So if you guys were a bit confused on that, there will be a video coming up soon about that. Sorry I accidentally skipped over it. I just realized that. My mistake. I'm going to be leaving a link to New Era Studios in the description. Feel free to check it out. Join, invite a friend if you want. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you like. If still taking requests on scripting, I will be recording when I do some scripts. So if you want me to make something like large scale, don't be too surprised if someone takes bits and pieces of it or copies the entire thing. I would love to prevent that, but I kind of can't if I'm recording, obviously. That's all for today.